Welcome back, ladies and gents, to another video. Today we're going to look at Hell Let Loose armour, a key feature within the game which is enjoyed by many. We'll dive into the history of the various tanks you have within your arsenal and their effectiveness in theatre and in gameplay. I will also share some top tips on how you can level up your tanker gameplay quickly to improve effectiveness and drive more wins for you and your team. So, without further ado, sit back, relax and enjoy. In Hell Let Loose, armour is broken into 4 cohorts: Recon, Light, Medium and Heavy. As of update 9, there are 2 tanks in each cohort, one for the Allies and one for the Axis forces. Each cohort has its own strengths and weaknesses. For example, the Greyhound and Puma Recon vehicles are quick and nimble, ideal for rapidly deploying around the battlefield, but they sacrifice armour plating and firepower. On the other side of the spectrum, the heavier Tiger and Jumbo pack a bigger cannon and heavier armour, which is ideal for knocking out enemy tanks, but they sacrifice manoeuvrability and not able to react as well to enemy infantry closing in on them. You will find that the light and medium tanks follow this same trade-off, but are more evenly balanced. So, with this brief over, let's dive into the history. On the American side, the M8 Greyhound. Armoured with a 37mm cannon and a 30 caliber Browning machine gun, this light reconnaissance vehicle is excellent for getting behind the enemy and disrupting enemy supply lines. However, be advised, if you're looking to take on bigger cats head on, this is effectively a pea shooter. It is advised therefore that you use its superior speed and manoeuvrability to get behind the enemy tanks and focus the main cannon on the rear armour plates or the engine. Much like the German Puma, the armour in these machines will not stop AP rounds, and you will be an easy target for an AT weapon at any angle. What many don't realise is that you can actually carry up to 3 passengers, which is useful for protecting small units such as the Commander against small arms fire whilst crossing open areas. Also like the Puma, you have the ability to listen into the radio airwaves in a select area of the map. Acting almost like a recon plane, you can triangulate enemy forces. Next up, the M5A1 Stuart tank, also carrying a 37mm cannon, but with an additional coaxial 30 caliber machine gun. The Stuart is slower than the Greyhound, with a top speed of 31 km per hour, but with an additional firepower and better armour, it is better suited for kinetic warfare, especially against infantry and light tanks. Stuart's cannon packs a higher armour penetration value than its adversary the Panzer II, but it has a smaller rate of fire. Next up, the M4A1 Sherman, the poster boy for World War II American armour. This variant carries a 75mm M3 cannon and 2x30 caliber machine guns. With a high speed of 22 km an hour, this tank is slower still, but is now able to fend off multiple direct hits from larger anti-tank weapon systems thanks to its slanted armour. In reality, these tanks were not as potent, with many referring to them as death traps due to the heavy losses sustained during the Bog-Harj Wars of 1944. However, this is still a fun tank to play in Hell Let Loose, especially when attacking enemy at distance. Advised with both Sherman variants played in Hell Let Loose that you close with the enemy armour and use the slight speed advantage to outmaneuver and kill enemy tanks from the rear. Lastly, on the American side, the M4A3E2 76mm Sherman, otherwise known as the Jumbo. With its flat frontal armour and larger 76mm cannon with muzzle brake, this tank is clearly distinguishable and more than a match for Panthers and Tigers in Hell Let Loose. Like the Tiger, it is not advised to take this on face to face unless engaging with a larger caliber cannon, due to its armour thickness. With a top speed of just 20 km an hour, it is advised to outflank where possible or swarm with friendly infantry. And now, the German side, starting with the Puma. The Puma was equipped with a 50mm cannon. This is a far more potent weapon system than both the Greyhounds and the Stuart tanks. In addition to the cannon, the Puma also was equipped with an MG34. If you're interested in knowing more about these machine guns, please feel free to click on the link in the top right hand corner, which will go to a video I made earlier in the year. Despite a slower top speed of only 31 km per hour when compared to the Greyhound, you should still be able to manoeuvre through difficult terrain with a competent driver. Next, the Panzer II, one of the main light tanks used effectively during the early war years to conquer Poland, Belgium and France. This armoured vehicle packs a 20mm cannon as well as an MG34. With a top speed of 30 km per hour, this light tank can zip around the map quickly and mop up enemy infantry. Due to its low caliber cannon, this tank is not effective against enemy armour and is extremely vulnerable to AT weapons, a factor which gives the Stuart the edge over this cohort. And now for the big cats, the Panther. Armed with 2x MG34s and a 75mm cannon, which actually had a better penetration value than the Tiger's 88mm cannon, this tank packs a punch. In game, it has a top speed of 26 km per hour and has good front and side armour ranging between 50 to 80mm, useful for fending off bazookas with weaker warheads. Due to its strong armour, cannon and relative speed, this is one of my favourite tanks to play with in game. With a good squad, you can expect to chew up multiple Shermans before having to respawn. Finally, the Tiger I, probably the most infamous tank of World War II. Armed with 2 MG34s and an 88mm cannon, the same used as an anti-aircraft battery, this tank is a menace in its own right. To add to the challenge, if you come up against it, the front and side armour is the strongest in game, with up to 100mm at the front and 60mm on the side. To level out this monstrous tank in game, the top speed is only 19 km per hour, and it has a very slow traverse, so best use this for long range defensive fire or holding highways like at Purple Heart Lane. So, let's talk tactics. Lesson 1. 2 is 1, 1 is none. That means, have a buddy. Don't do it alone. You're more effective when you've got at least 2 guys in the tank, preferably a third for lookout. Breaking down the rolls means you'll be more effective. The driver can manoeuvre out of harm's way quicker. The turretman can rearm and fire more effectively, and the commander can act as overwatch, calling shots or threats as they arise. Lesson 2. Communication is key. As the commander, it's your responsibility to make sure the tank acts as a cohesive unit. Make sure everyone has mics and knows what you want them to do. For example, driver, stop, turret, turn 3 o'clock, load HE, 1x enemy at base of tree, watch and shoot. Lesson 3. Keep overwatch. Look out for any infantry or armour threats. If needs be, leave the tank and get into a good vantage point. Lesson 4. Cover and concealment. Remember, these machines are large and make a lot of noise. Look for areas where you can be concealed by fire or view. Switch the engine off if you aren't moving, and be conscious if your barrel is pointing out and visible. Lesson 5. Fire and manoeuvre. If you're a small tank, you may wish to shoot and scoot. Fire a couple of shots and quickly move to a different vantage point. Your weak armour makes you vulnerable, but your speed is your friend. Lesson 6. Get infantry support. Stay close to your friendly infantry, so they can prevent enemy infantry from closing with you and either A. firing their anti-tank weapons or B. planting a satchel. Lesson 7. Get an engineer. If you don't have the ability within your squad, call friendly infantry who may be able to assist. Failing that, you'll need to move back to your base for a repair kit, or any mobile repair units. Lesson 8. Pick your battles. If you're a recon unit coming up against a heavy tank head on, you're most likely not going to win. Better to tactically withdraw from the area of operations and re-engage elsewhere where you can add value. Lesson 9. Stay away from roads or crossroads where possible. They have most likely been mined, so you should look for unconventional routes. If taking roads, make sure that you've got a commander looking down and spotting mines. And finally, Lesson 10. Remember, the tank is owned by the team, not you. Look for where you can support your team to the best of your ability. Don't necessarily go for kills, but where you can support an advance on an enemy position, or hunker down and defend a strategic point. Thanks very much for watching. I hope you found this video enjoyable. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe if you'd like to see more related content.